The Nothing Phone 1 is a beautiful phone with an aesthetic that really appeals to me. The physical design of this phone is so simple yet so purposeful and impactful. It takes elements from other great phone designs and combines them into one solid product with its own style. Going right into the feel of using this phone, it's probably been one of my favorite phones to use. I've had an iPhone 13 Pro Max, a S22 Ultra, Pixel 6, and many other kinds of regular form factor phones, and this phone tops my personal list when it comes to how it feels in my hands. The 13 Pro Max was a near perfect phone for me with the addition of a 120Hz screen, however it lacked in a few ways that personally I couldn't get over. Physically, this design is nearly identical to the 13 Pro Max's design, minus the camera layout and screen. The boxy design is impeccable and arguably better than the 13 Pro Max's design because of the edges of the phone. Because of the edges of this phone that are slightly rounded, making it easier to hold and less sharp. Although I love the iPhone 12 and 13 series designs, they're pretty sharp to hold for a long period of time unless you use a case. Another great feature of Phone 1's design is the fully symmetrical bezel and the flat 120Hz screen. All of these elements make a great experience, possibly one of the best experiences you can get from a regular form factor phone in my opinion. It's just so easy to use and hold, and the symmetry combined with the punch hole camera makes the screen feel more immersive than other phones. I like the lights and the glyph system, but I do wish it could do a little bit more in terms of how you lighting up whenever you want, maybe even colors, different settings. I just wish you can do a little bit more with it, but it is cool. In terms of pure aesthetic, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Honestly speaking though, the glyph lights caught my attention, but the user experience has kept me around to stay. Nothing did a really good job with their first smartphone entry. The software is clean and smooth with fluid animations that make transitions from one thing to another seamless. The Snapdragon 778G Plus chip in this phone was initially a letdown for me when I heard about it, but after using this phone for myself, I can see how good this processor is, especially for someone who isn't a professional gamer or a serious Genshin Impact player. This phone can run all the games that I play on a regular basis at max graphics and max FPS with no problem at all. It even runs some games that I play better than my S22 Ultra did, which is super insane to me. And on one of my favorite mobile games, Guardian Tales, I'm able to take full advantage of the 120Hz screen and play that game at 120 FPS flawlessly with no problems after a long period of time. The phone doesn't really lag for me. There's only a few times where the animation can glitch, but honestly I've seen this happen across all smartphones that I've used, even my iPhone 13 Pro Max. An example of this is swiping up to exit an app really fast, or swiping back twice in a row fast. All phones that I've had have stuttered every once in a while during those two example scenarios. The only thing I really don't like about this phone's software is the fact that it feels a bit too limited. Samsung kind of spoiled me with their edge panel features and being able to create app pairs for split screen functionality, and to access that at any time is really nice. There's a lot of features in One UI software that Samsung makes that is just very convenient and nice to use. Although stock Android is always praised and loved and is good, it lacks a lot of basic features that would make it a lot better. However, multitasking is way better on this phone than stock Android for me because of floating windows. Nothing Phone 1's iteration of floating windows is pretty good. It can be improved, but what it is right now is pretty good. Like you can tap it to open the app and interact with it, and then you can swipe up from the bottom of the floating window and it will go back to the smaller window, and then you can move that around your screen and the app will still continue to run in the background. And then you can tap it and swipe down to open the app fully, and it will take over your screen and then you're on that app only. Or you can just tap it and then tap somewhere else on the screen and the app will disappear, it will close. I feel like it shouldn't just close if you tap somewhere else on the screen, but yeah, it could be improved like I said. Another thing I absolutely hate about a lot of iterations of Android is how you can reorganize your home screens. I don't understand why these big companies can't make it easy to move multiple apps at a time when organizing your home screen. Samsung and others do this well by allowing you to select multiple apps and move them at once. Apple also hopped into this a few years ago, but even still their version of it is kind of weird. But why can't stock Android catch up in this regard? It's pretty annoying setting up a phone like this if you use many apps or keep apps on your home screen. And also the lack of folder and app drawer customization is pretty annoying too, and disappointing. These are features in my opinion that wouldn't take away from the stock Android experience, but would only add more value to it. If Google did these things, imagine how nice it would be. So now the cameras are really good. They shoot with a lot of detail. They have a decent amount of features. But as a point and shoot, this phone is above average in my opinion and has personality in its color science. I like the colors that this phone produces, and it's kind of an aesthetic and a style. For videos though, it's actually pretty good. However, it's similar to the Surface Duo 2's cameras in how it constantly tries to adjust its automatic settings based on what it sees happening in the frame. Because it's doing that like constantly, it looks really bad on camera. Like it just makes constant changes all the time, and yeah, it's just not smooth. So if you can adjust these things manually and, you know, lock things, it would be a lot better, and it would be usable for me personally. I do believe they can fix this over time, and they could also add manual mode for video over time as well. If they do that, then these cameras are above average for me. Outside of it being too slippery, not officially available in certain regions of the world, and a semi-bland OS experience, it's still a great phone. At the official price range, it's probably a top tier phone compared to others in my opinion. Even phones with stronger specs, the hardware experience and how a device physically feels is way more important than some realize. And I think that's where a lot of the value comes from with this phone. With 33 watt fast charging and a really good wireless charging experience, plus reverse wireless charging, in addition to everything else I mentioned, it's really just missing a flagship processor and maybe more storage to be considered a top 3 phone of this form factor. It's a really good phone in my opinion, and it does a lot more than other budget phones or phones of this price range. But anyways, this is how nothing became something with its first device, Nothing Phone 1. Thanks for watching.